Alright guys, it's here. Avengers Infinity War has just hit theaters and I've seen it. Oh. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. Okay, let's get this out the way right now. This is my spoiler-filled discussion. I normally try to do a non-spoiler and spoiler video, but I can't talk about this film without talking spoilers. So below will be a link to the reaction / non-spoiler opinion of the film. So yeah, let's get started on talking spoilers. This is my last spoiler warning. If you do not want this film spoiled for you, you do not want this movie spoiled for you, you should go see this movie as soon as possible in theaters with a crowd if at all possible. And I'm just going to jump right in here. So they do not hold anything back with this movie. Every complaint people had about, oh, there's no stakes, oh, there's nothing any of the heroes have to worry about because everyone's going to turn out fine at the end, you're completely wrong in regards to this movie. It starts off immediately where we left off in Thor Ragnarok, the Asgardian ship. Okay, before I get to that point, the opening little crawl with the Marvel Studios logo normally has the fanfare and the upbeat, peppy music. This one does not have that. This is very somber immediately from the get-go. You start with some major KOs here. We're talking Loki and Heimdall are dead. Heimdall sacrifices himself just so Hulk can get sent to Earth to warn everybody about Thanos. Loki ends up giving Thanos the Space Stone like we thought, but he tried to take him out in the process to try to save Thor and gets choked out. Like eyes, bloodshot red, whole 9 yards. I mean, it's devastating. And then Thanos blows up the Asgardian ship. Now, we don't get confirmation on the Valkyrie or Korg or Meek or, any of the other people. We see some of the gladiators dead, some Asgardians dead. It's best to assume that some of them did make it off, especially with Valkyrie, because you can't wipe out Valkyrie like that. Come on, don't do that. And this is it's not really a simple Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 story arc. It's very much kind of little snippets of multiple storylines going at the same time. We get the interaction between Tony Stark and Doctor Strange. Spider-Man's wrapped into that when Hulk crashes through the Sanctum and he warns him about Thanos. They get drawn into a battle with some of the members of the Black Order, primarily Ebony Maw and Cull Obsidian, I believe, are the ones who attack New York first. Then we also get more interaction between Vision and Scarlet Witch, with the Mind Stone starting to react to, I guess, Thanos going around collecting the individual stones. And then we also get reintroductions of like Captain America and Falcon and Scarlet Witch and War Machine and everything that they've been doing since then. This film is all about the different characters interacting with each other, and it really focuses on Thanos. Like, he is the main character of the story. We follow him primarily and his quest to get the stones, which by the end of the film he does assemble the full gauntlet. The action sequences in the film are fantastic. I think the most entertaining part for myself was definitely Thor meeting up with the Guardians, Doctor Strange's interaction with Tony Stark and Spider-Man, and the reintroduction of Wakanda and some of those characters. Now, a lot of the characters don't have huge scenes, except for like Thor has a lot of screen time, and so does Thanos. And like I said, this movie does not pull punches. There is a body count. And especially at the end, there is a massive body count of not only supporting characters, but some of the main cast as well. This is a full spoiler discussion, so I will say this: they do the comic book ending. They do it exactly like the comic books. He snaps his fingers, and half of life in the universe goes away. Now, some characters do bite the dust before that. Loki and Heimdall initially mentioned they do bite the dust. Gamora, unfortunately, she bites the dust as well, because she is the key to unlocking the Soul Stone. Soul Stone is introduced. It is something. The introduction of the Soul Stone by a particular character was very surprising and very entertaining to see. They brought back the Red Skull for the introduction of the Soul Stone. We get an idea of where he's been since the events of Captain America: The First Avenger. Unfortunately, to unlock the Soul Stone, the person wanting the stone has to sacrifice the soul of someone that they love, and obviously Thanos does love Gamora. We get to see a nice little flashback of him and his mind rescuing Gamora. And his mind in this movie is different from the comics, where in the comics he was very much trying to court death. He was trying to impress her by wiping out half of the life in the universe. In this one, he sees himself as the hero of his own story, which again, if you've seen my Black Panther video, that to me is the mark of a great villain. And I think Thanos really does live up to the hype of being a great villain, because he sees himself as a savior of the universe. He sees himself as the universe is overpopulated, and that in order to save it, you have to get rid of some of the pieces on the board so that the universe can have a chance to support life that it needs to support. And in a way, I understand his desire to make sure no one's suffering, make sure people don't have to go without food or shelter. And that's what he was talking about with Gamora when he supposedly saved her from her home planet. But in terms of saving her, he ended up killing her family and half of the populace of her planet. So again, he's insane, but in his point of view, he's saving other people, which is in a sick, twisted way is his way of trying to be a hero. In his mind, using the Infinity Stones and the power that they possess will give him the opportunity to bring about that change. And in the film, he mentions something about once his work is done, he will be able to watch the sunrise over a universe that he saved. And they did that at the end. They didn't spry away from it. This movie does have a very dark ending, but it's also pinned with a sign of hope that not everyone is gone. Which we can talk about the third act. The third act actually takes place across two different battlefields. One on the home planet of Titan, where Thanos is from, where he battles Iron Man, Spider-Man, the majority of the Guardians, and Doctor Strange, whereas the rest of the Avengers go to Wakanda to try to protect Vision. They are not successful in protecting the last two stones. By the time he makes it to Titan, he has the 4 stones. He has already killed Gamora, and he's going after the Time Stone, and then he will go after the Mind Stone. And in my rewatch of the films leading up to Infinity War, and one of the things I noticed in Avengers: Age of Ultron was when Thor had his vision about the Infinity Stones, he said in his vision all he saw was this whirlpool of destruction, and at the center of it was that, and he pointed at the Mind Stone in Vision's forehead. The funny thing is when you look at the Infinity Gauntlet completed, the Mind Stone is in the center. So that was when I rewatched the movie and I heard that line, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So the Mind Stone most likely was the last stone that he was going to go for, and obviously he did. The Avengers were clearly no match for Thanos, especially with the stones that he had accumulated up to this point. And let's talk about the ending. So the ending, he has assembled the gauntlet with the 5 stones because he was able to get the Time Stone from Doctor Strange, because in order to save Tony Stark's life, Doctor Strange sacrificed the Time Stone to Thanos, to at least to keep him alive long enough. And he travels to Wakanda in order to claim the 6th and final stone. The biggest thing about that was when he got there, the plan was that if they couldn't separate the stone from Vision, they were going to destroy the stone using Scarlet Witch's power, because a power equal to the stone would be able to destroy it. And they do. They destroy the stone, and you would think, oh great, they stopped him from assembling the gauntlet, but at this point he already had the Time Stone. So he rewound time and it basically brought Vision back to life just to kill him, right in front of Wanda, which was pretty heartbreaking. Even though Thor intervened with an axe to the chest with his new Stormbreaker weapon, it didn't stop Thanos from snapping his finger. Once he snapped his finger, it was a blinding white light, a little hallucination that Thanos had, and then he disappeared after Thor was like, "What have you done?" And then I thought that was it, the end of the movie, but you start seeing certain characters completely vaporize in front of your eyes. You see Bucky walks up to Steve and turns to dust. T'Challa goes to help Okoye up, and then he turns to dust. You see Rocket going over to Groot, and Groot's fading away. You see other members of the different tribes of Wakanda on the battlefield starting to disappear in front of your eyes. And then you cut back to Titan, and Iron Man has to watch as Drax, Mantis, Star-Lord, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man all disappear in front of him. Spider-Man actually disappears in front of his eyes, and he looks up at Tony, he's like, "I'm sorry," and he just fades away. And I was like, yo, they did it. They did the snap, they did the comic book ending, and it was insane. And you end the movie with Captain America walking up on a dead Vision, just saying, like, what now? And then you cut to Thanos on a planet walking out of a hut watching the sunset. I'm sorry, watching the sunrise. And that's where they end the movie. That's where they fucking end the movie. It was just like, you could hear a pin drop in our theater because people were like, and I give them credit for doing that, because one of the biggest complaints people have is that they do not live up to the stakes, and this film lives up to the stakes. A couple of other big moments I love was Thor getting his new Stormbreaker weapon, and I loved his arrival on the battlefield in Wakanda and going toe-to-toe with the Outriders. My one disappointment about the film, it's not a huge disappointment, was that I wish the Black Order did a little bit more. I mean, they were fine, they were unique, I love their designs, but I was expecting some of them to make it through, but none of them made it through. I was gonna say that two of them got taken out pretty fucking easily, but overall, I thought their character designs were great. I just think they were kind of just cannon fodder, but if anyone had to live up to the hype, it was Thanos, and I'm glad he lived up to the hype. There's not much else I can talk about the film. I mean, go see it. Please go see it. You've probably seen the film already, but if you haven't, please go see it. All I can say, it's a fucking fantastic film. Is it perfect? I say some of the CG is a little rough in certain spots, but besides that, I mean, it's not your typical movie. It's not a movie you can go in and be like, oh, this wasn't a great film, or oh, this wasn't good. This movie is meant to be the season finale of the MCU as a long-running television show. This movie is meant to culminate 10 years of storytelling, 10 years of introducing new characters, of characters we become invested in over the course of a decade. This is not your typical movie. So it's hard to judge this based off of a normal movie scale. If you have never watched any of the MCU films, if you have no idea what you're walking into, you probably won't be as invested in the story and the characters as if you have remotely followed it or you have followed it since the beginning. So it's hard to say if you would consider this to be a typical movie. I wouldn't. Like I said, this is an event film. This is an event movie. This is the event of the culmination of what started in Iron Man 1 to what was teased in Avengers 1. This goes back there's so much that you have to kind of already know going in it to really appreciate. Not necessarily enjoy it, but to appreciate all the little things. You have to kind of have done a little bit of homework. And I like the fact that the directors didn't try to hold anybody's hand. They name dropped a couple things, they teased a couple things, but it's like at this point, Is this movie for everyone? It depends on if you've seen any of the other MCU films. If you haven't, if you're just walking in just to watch spectacle, you may enjoy it. But if you don't, if you think it's stupid because they didn't tell you anything, well, you got to kind of do a little homework on this one. All the other ones are different. This is unique. This is something that hasn't been done before and may not be replicated ever again by any other franchise. Who knows? But all I can say is, if you have watched any of the 18 previous films, go see this movie. Go see it. Don't let it be spoiled for you. Enjoy the crap out of it, because I sure did. And you gotta wait a year to find out how they fix it, and I think that is so cool. So, that is my spoiler talk of Infinity War that has just come out. Have you seen it? I'm pretty sure you have. But if you haven't, go see it. If you have seen it, what did you think about it? Did you love it as much as I do? So I hope you like this video. I should have this plus my non-spoiler just reaction up hopefully within the next few days. I really want to see the movie again. Did not feel like 2.5 hours. That was the other thing I wanted to say. It felt great. So I thank you for watching this video. I thank you for going on this journey with me. If you have seen all the other MCU films, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. If you did, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you like this video and any of my other videos, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, guess I'll catch you later.